Welcome to Scotty B's Fitness Journey podcast. I'm your host, Scott Blomberg. My goal with this podcast is to inform and inspire others to start and continue their fitness journeys by sharing my story. Episode 9, Playing Through the Pain. In this episode, I give a brief update on my progress and plans for future episodes, but then I discuss the right and wrong ways that I have dealt with my knee pain. As I mentioned, I began this journey in July of 2021. I do my current routine is to do boot camp workouts 6 days a week. I do strength training now 2 days a week and try to do vigorous walks 4 or 5 times a week. I recently hit two important milestones. For the first time in my life, I actually weigh less than what my driver's license says. I can also say that I've now lost over 100 pounds. So, yeah, my driver's license may have been off by about 100 pounds. As someone in my fasting online group said, I'm now a centurion for weight loss. So I still have a goal of losing a total of 150 pounds and maybe doing those pull-ups someday. I'm continuing to work towards that. As I've said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with my story that hopefully will inspire others. So let's talk about the future of this podcast. So this episode, I'm going to say, is the end of season 1 of the Scotty B's Fitness Journey podcast. For season 2, I'm going to do a little bit something different, and I'm going to start interviewing trainers and perhaps others that have guided me along the journey. I've now worked with several trainers um, here in Minnesota, Louisville, Kentucky, Maui, and I know others that could help inspire people. And so I'm going to come up with an interview format that hopefully is inspiring and is informative, and hopefully have fun with that. I've talked to a number of these trainers, and they're all willing to help out. So look forward to that. I'll let you guys know when that happens. So my knees. So I have osteoarthritis in both knees. It basically means that the meniscus has worn away, and so now I have a lot of bone-on-bone contact on my knees. Thankfully, my knees seem to take turns flaring up. I don't ever have both of them hurt at the same time, well, at least not now. But when I weighed 400 pounds, the pain was with every step. And I think I may have told you guys that I would literally plan every step based upon how painful it would be. The higher the step up, the more pain. And now taking the 100 pounds off, it has them feeling so much better. Um, the only definitive treatment for what I have, osteoarthritis, would be knee replacements. But I'm actually trying to avoid doing that as long as I possibly can. So, what have I learned? Well, let's start with the wrong way. Um, about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, I first complained of this osteoarthritis to my regular clinician. And at the time, I was enjoying regular walks with our Cockapoo Flash. Um, while well meaning, the doctor recommended that I forego doing these walks. And basically, I used that as an excuse to quit exercising and didn't do anything. Uh, I bring this up because this is who I was. It's not who I am now, it's who I was. I was perfectly willing to use the excuse of my knee pain to forego exercise altogether. Um, I see that in others, and no judgment because that was me. But I'm hopefully in this episode going to inspire others to say, maybe you want to think about how you deal with that injury and try to get past it to the point where you can get back to regular exercise. Um, so, what was the result of me not exercising? Well, I ballooned up to nearly 400 pounds and was in terrible shape and had high blood pressure and all of those bad things going on with my body. And so, as is the overlying theme of this in 2021, when I was 53 years old, I changed my approach and I started doing these daily workouts. So, what have I learned about how to deal with my knees? Well, when I started going to Impact Athlete Fitness in 2021, I was determined to keep exercising. My goal was to get through every single one of those workouts and not slow down. That meant working around the knees and the knee pain. So every day I would go in and I would say, okay, I'm not going to give up no matter what happens. Well, I made it clear to the trainers that I was working with, and some I still am working with, that this is what I'm dealing with the knee pain. And some of that meant early on, for instance, not doing any exercises on the floor because it was just too hard to get up and down. It also meant not doing any jumping exercises at first because I didn't know how to do it without hurting my knees. And so the trainers worked with me well and came up with some, alternate exercises. Um, and again, my goal was just to get through every single one. And as I've told you guys, I ended up, being able to work out every single day. Um, so as I worked out every day and the weight started coming off and I lost more and more weight, the knees just got better. They're not 100%, but I could feel the difference between, of course, my peak weight and then my knee pain. Then when I weighed 50 pounds less, or 20 pounds less than that, or 20 pounds less than that, every time I would hit a journey. In fact, I think even going from the 90 pounds lost, which is where I was at a few months ago, to now over 100 pounds, I think I've even seen a difference in that weight. It's just the difference of that much weight pounding on my knees with every single step. And so I've just continued on to try to exercise and tell myself, don't not go to the gym because of the knee pain. Just work around it every day. I've been wildly successful. And really, the only real setback I have had in that part of the journey was in May of this year. I was cleared on May 1st to go back to um, to the gym after my prostate surgery, as was the previous episode I talked about in episode 8. Um, I was so eager to go back that I hit it really hard in May, and not only went back to the gym, I added in the walks that I was doing around the neighborhood, which I'd gotten used to doing while I was in recovery from the surgery, and I'd really had hit it too hard. And so by the beginning of June, my right knee was just in constant pain. And I tried taking it easy. I took a short break from the gym during our North Shore vacation. It didn't work. I ended up um, about the third or fourth week of June going into TRIA orthopedic urgent care, and they scanned me, did an X-ray, and I ended up seeing a sports medicine doc. Um, he and I discussed the treatments, of course, long term, maybe it's knee replacement, but I told him I'd like to try to put it off as much as possible. He agreed and gave me a cortisone shot in that knee. And fortunately, with a few weeks of patience, that did the trick. And like I said, right now I feel great. I think the cortisone is taking care of the right knee. I still ice it regularly because that seems to be the key thing to keep it going. That if I ice it in the evening and maybe have a little bit of knee pain, then by the next morning when I go to the gym, I don't have to ice it. Um, I still work really hard at not pounding the knee. So the important thing that I've learned is that the knee itself, the knee joint itself, I should try to avoid as much as possible uh, putting my weight on it, or like I said, kind of pounding it with my weight, because that's when the damage is done. How is that accomplished? Well, when I go for walks, or if I'm at the gym, I consciously think about when I'm bearing weight, when I'm taking each step, to make sure my muscles and my tendons are carrying that weight and not the joint itself. Of course, the joint is there, but it's a question of how much weight is being borne by those muscles and tendons versus the knee. So I've kind of gotten good at doing that. Um, and I may still need a knee replacement. I'm hopeful there's other treatments that could come in to being between now and me needing it. But I'm still trying to exercise every day without making it worse. So to sum up, the most important thing for me is to make sure I go to the gym every single day, continue to burn those calories, continue to build that muscle mass, continue to work hard. And I know I can push certain parts of my body really hard. Like my upper body, I've never had any injuries, so I'm pushing, pushing, pushing. I can push my lower body, except for my knees, hard as well. And so that's what I do is I try to push myself as much as I can and just be very conscious of what's going on with my knees. And I feel now that's a much healthier approach. I've lost all the weight. I'm going to continue to lose the weight and continue down my path. So there's my episode 9 about my playing through the pain. Thank you for listening or watching. Good luck with your own fitness journeys. And if there's any way I can help, please reach out. I look forward to hearing from you.